Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. Happy Monday. I'm Adam Weiner, joined as always by FanSided MLB insider Robert Murray, and we've got thoughts on the Oli Marmol extension splash that coincides with Chaim Bloom's timeline, but potentially shunts some former Cardinals stars to the side. The Kansas City Royals with another move this offseason. They probably made more moves than you think they have. We can go through some of them. I like the chances they've taken, and I like Starling Marte. Plus, Freddy, Peralta, Buzz, Konnor, Griffin walking so Kevin McGonigle could run. Phillies thoughts and answers to your questions with Robert Murray. Robert, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. We are back.
We are back, and I am in a new apartment. Well, same complex, different unit, which is always very exciting. Glad the move is over. I'm very tired today, so shout out to Adam for allowing me to get coffee before the show. He's an absolute G for that and many other things. So I am excited to talk some ball, because we got things that are happening. Things are happening on the field, but also behind the scenes as well. Always exciting, but good to be here. Adam Weiner, how's it going?
Things that could be happening. Certainly, we know plenty of you have probably similar questions about various rumors you've heard. We're here to put them to bed or endorse them. I am doing well. Again, I am alive. I gave Robert permission to drink coffee. Again, you can all thank me for that one. You can show your appreciation by joining us in the Discord, I guess. Monday, Wednesday, Friday are the shows. Tuesday is the Prospect Show with Eric Cole co-hosting, and we will do a private Q&A in the all-star tier of that Discord on Thursday afternoons at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So no better time to join us. Head on over to fansided.com/newsletters as well to sign up to get the Baseball Insiders newsletter delivered directly to your inbox twice a week. Robert's Inner Thoughts, well, baseball-related Inner Thoughts on Tuesdays, plus more from the FanSided MLB staff writer team. On Thursday, we keep it creative. We keep it related to the show, but also build upon it. So please help build our subscriber base. We would love to see that go into your inbox. If you're getting it, send us some proof so we can give you a little bit of hat tips, just a couple of them. We've got plenty to discuss as always. Get your questions in. All stars from the Discord will be prioritized a little bit. I wanted to talk about Oli Marmol first because I don't know, man. This surprised me. Extended through 2029. This is a Chaim Bloom decision. This is his imprint on the rebuild. And Cardinals fans are making no excuses about what 2026 is. Neither is the team. They are building with an eye on the future. But this is a long-term pact for Marmol. Is he keeping the seat warm as expected for Yadi, Pujols, or a bigger splash when the rebuild is over? Or is this genuine long-term faith? Because Albert Pujols is a guy who almost got jobs this cycle. Spent a lot of time in Baltimore. Spent a lot of time in San Diego. I think the assumption a lot of people had was that Marmol was going to be the interstitial guy and that the Cardinals would eventually move on to handing the throne to one of those vaunted team legends. But I don't know. I don't know if Albert Pujols is going to wait that long. I don't know if Yadier Molina is a guy they envision taking on that role, but seems to be the Cardinals manager for the foreseeable future to the end of this process, unless you think otherwise.
No, I think that's exactly it here is they believe in Oli Marmol. And Chaim Bloom has been in St. Louis now for a few seasons. He's gotten to be around Marmol and gotten to know everybody in that organization. And it's clear that they believe in him and that they view him as a guy that is not just a solution for now and for next year, but also going forward as well. And you don't give him that contract unless you actually obviously believe that. So this is their belief in Marmol, and they're cementing it by giving him that extension. It sends a signal to the clubhouse that he is the guy, that he's the person that they have to turn to in the clubhouse day in and day out. And I think that's a pretty important thing for them. But also, like with the Cardinals' moves this offseason, it's clear they're not going to be a contending team. This is a team that's in transition, and that would probably end up impacting the level of managerial candidate that they would go out and attract. And obviously, like, for as long as they're around, Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols are going to be connected to that job specifically. I don't know if Pujols necessarily got close in this cycle, but he's obviously going to be connected, and that buzz is going to be loud. And if they didn't do this extension with Marmol, then that buzz would grow even louder, and that would be a distraction in the clubhouse, and that just would not be a good thing overall for Marmol. So I think it was smart by the Cardinals to do so. You hear people around the league, and it's kind of frustrating from their perspective, seeing a team like that with such a storied franchise being a team in transition. But Bloom has upgraded the farm system. He's made some very nice moves this offseason. I don't blame him for doing what he's done because it seemed like that was a team that needed to tear down. But if there's one thing for certain, it's that Marmol is the guy. And I'm glad they rewarded him because he's also, in addition to being a good manager, he's also a really good dude.
And just because a manager is extended, of course, does not mean they can't eventually pull the plug if they decide to. But this is definitely a 7 out of 10, at least maybe an 8 on the show of faith scale. That's an extended commitment. And Yadier Molina is a guy who was in the dugout a few times last year. And I think Cardinals fans can expect to see him around the org still. But Marmol's the guy. The Cardinals are entering that next phase. The expectations are quite low for this season. And sometimes those can be the most fun seasons. When the expectations are low, you know you're not winning the World Series. Unless you do. But you're going to get to see JJ Weatherholt. You're going to see the fruits of that farm. You're going to get to see a rotation of pretty much all kids. You're going to see if Richard Fitz's stuff plus from spring training can translate into a real upgraded, big league midseason performance. You're going to get to see all these little things that fans of rebuilding teams get to enjoy. We know it's not the joy of contention, but sometimes you might surprise people, and it's an interesting show of faith that they believe Marmol's the guy for this stage and for the next stage. Now, a team that is at an upgraded level of contention is the New York Mets, and an upgraded payroll. You specifically wanted to talk a little bit about this Freddy Peralta extension buzz, the winks, the nods, what he's doing in his media availability. He's going to be asked about this every time he talks to anyone for the rest of the year or until there's a deal in place. It's getting to the point where this is what Mets Twitter is pretty much singularly focused on every time he appears on the mound. This is his walk year. He's spending it at Citi Field, and he is a strong clubhouse presence in addition to a strong on-field performer. What are you hearing about Peralta's chances of sticking in New York long-term, and what that might look like if they are, in fact, progressing in towards even having good feelings about it? From Ken Rosenthal earlier this morning, no substantive discussions, but that doesn't mean the thoughts aren't there.
No, that's exactly it. And it was funny because this weekend I was moving, which that's not the funny part.
So far, no laughs.
Yeah, moving sucks for sure. But as soon as Peralta said no comment when he talked about extension talks and just kind of smiled, my phone lit up and I'm like, what the heck did I miss? And I look and I see and I check around and there's been nothing crazy going on there whatsoever. Does that mean an extension should be ruled out? I don't think so. It's always possible that Steve Cohen and the Mets step up and make an offer that he just can't refuse. Rosenthal ended up talking to Peralta and ended up saying that he was not really keen on the idea of a short-term extension at a high AAV. He wants to be in a place where he can sign long-term and kind of call that home. So what exactly that means for an extension possibility remains to be seen. But there's no team that knows him better, obviously, besides the Brewers, than the Mets, because they have David Stearns in place there, who traded for Peralta with the Brewers, and also now with the Mets. They got other members of that front office that came over from Milwaukee that were part of that process and got to watch him grow through that organization ever since he was 19 years old. Like, they know the answers to the test here. They know what they're acquiring. The only real question that they have here is how his game is going to translate to Citi Field, and if that's going to be as successful as they imagine. And having spent a few years around Peralta, I don't think that's going to be an issue for him whatsoever. I think to me, he's going to become a fan favorite in New York. It's just his personality, his style, how authentic, how real he is, but also just the level of pitcher that he is. I think is going to play very well. So if I'm the Mets, I would be in a hurry to try to get this thing done, especially if I'm David Stearns. But if I'm Peralta, you're a year away from free agency. You were just super in demand on the trade market, obviously for his ability, but also his cheap price for his salary this year. He's only making $8 million. All those things combined, extremely valuable. If he puts together a monster season with the Mets here and ends up, I don't know, leading them deep into the postseason, that asking price is going to go higher and higher and higher. So if I'm Peralta, unless I'm just blown away, I play the season out. Hope you stay healthy, and you can turn that into a contract well over $100 million. How much further that goes, I don't know. But it's an interesting one here. I can't blame the Mets for trying, or I can't blame the Mets if they want to try. Just nothing is close as of this point.
It's interesting, too, that he's not interested in any sort of short-term high AAV thing, because that means if he is going to stay a Met, either the Mets are going to have to change the way they operate or have operated recently in the pitching market for him, or they're going to have to decide, okay, we're going to break our recent string this offseason regardless. Are we going to do it for Freddy Peralta, or are we going to do it for Tarek Skubal? or are we going to do it for both? Are we going for broke? And I guess that depends on how frustrated Steve Cohen is with the way 2026 ends. I can't see the future, so I'm going to need to get through the year before I know that. But worth keeping in mind that the Mets don't usually do this. They've got Peralta in-house. They traded for him for a reason. They've got Skubal looming. Are they going to break it twice? Are they going to give both of these guys what they want? Are they going to give either of these guys what they want? It's a weird free agent market, but it's a big offseason for both of these two guys, somewhat pitted against each other. Peralta probably is the 1A alternative to Skubal on the market.
Yeah, I mean, Skubal he's like Skubal being on the open market is going to be in the richest pitching contract here in baseball history. And there's going to be multiple different avenues that teams are going to look at this as. Is Peralta is going to be much more affordable for a lot of these different teams, while Skubal is going to be involved with the big market teams. And you got to imagine, I mean, you think the Mets are going to be involved. You always got to worry about the Dodgers being possibly involved. It's going to be a strictly probably big market teams in the mix for Skubal, with maybe a mystery team or two from the outside that's trying to get involved. I mean, if that being said, if you're a team and you have the best pitcher of your generation available on the free agent market, you have to go out and make a bid. So to me, that would make, you always think about the Dodgers when it comes to a team like that, or for a player like that, I should say. So we'll see. But Peralta is going to have a massive, massive, massive market when it comes to free agency, because whatever his asking price is going to look like, you'd think it's going to be more palatable for a bunch of these teams. And for the person, the player, and everything that comes with him, just the makeup overall, I don't know if there's a better bet than Freddy Peralta, but that's not okay. Let me say this again. Skubal is like world class. Like I'm leaving him out of the equation because he's the definitive number one option. But for the rest of the teams in the league, yeah, like Peralta is a no-brainer target for sure.
Yeah, agreed. The number one backup, but don't call backup an insult. The Kansas City Royals did some more shopping this weekend as well. They finally take Starling Marte off the board. Offensively, there are not many other free agents better than Starling Marte. There might be zero, Andrew McCutchen, depending on how your feeling is there. But Marte is still capable in his role. I think the Royals deserve more credit than we usually give them for taking advantage of markets coming to them, for getting ahead of certain markets. Some of the deals worked out big time, Lugo and Waka. Some didn't, jumping the gun on Jonathan India, but they do not let mistakes deter them. In this offseason, kind of silently, they've got Isaac Collins and Strom and Lane Thomas and even Alex Lane, Cameron Meisner, quieter work, and Marte. Do we give them enough credit for what they've done, and what do you envision for Marte in Kansas City?
Yeah, I thought that was an awesome signing. There's no risk here whatsoever. It's a major league deal. But it's for a low salary from what I understand. And adding a player of that caliber with that background to that outfield mix and adding some depth there, I think that was a no-brainer move by that front office and JJ Piccolo. And I've been pretty adamant in the times we've talked about the Royals on the show in recent years that I'm just super complimentary of what they've done. They're not necessarily like the biggest market team by any means, but still they make moves. They go out and find ways to obviously either extend Bobby Witt Jr. You go out there and you add some different value guys, and you find a way to compete. And they've done a very good job of that again this offseason here. And the move that I really liked was getting Isaac Collins from the Brewers. That I remember. Okay, let me date this back here. Is I got a call when that trade eventually happened, and I found out that Nick Mears was involved in this. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's nice ad for them. And then all of a sudden I hear Isaac Collins is involved. And I'm like, no, that didn't seem like a very Brewersy move, because he's a young player. He just broke out. That's exactly the kind of guy that they would want to build around. And for the price overall, like giving up the pitcher they gave up, the Brewers love. That was something I heard immediately after the trade was made, was that the Brewers, it was an opportunity for them to get a player that they had really wanted. And that was the price they gave up. But I love that move for them. Getting Lane Thomas on a one-year deal was good. Getting Matt Strom, that was another move that I broke. And I think I may have shared the story during the show after it happened, but it's when I broke from the shower, which is, that's always a always a fun time for sure. But no, it's like overall, I think it was a great offseason for them. I think they're going to be a team that's once again in contention there in a division that's not necessarily the best by any means. So no, I think good job by them overall. And this was another move to further praise JJ Picollo for the work he did this winter.
I forgot about Mears too. I thought the Isaac Collins trade was going to be the weirdest thing the Brewers did before they gave Durbin to the Red Sox. So, hey, it's an offseason for the Milwaukee Brewers, and I'm not saying I fully comprehend yet, but that's why they play the games. The season is not determined on paper, and we're only about 3.5, 4 weeks away from getting off that paper and getting on to the regular season track. We had a question earlier about Connor Griffin. People, of course, want to hear what you have to say about Connor Griffin. I think we're going to talk about him on every spring training show at the very least. But Kevin McGonigle getting in on his corner a little bit. Griffin with 3 homers now, most for a teenager ever in a spring training, and it's March 2nd. Plus McGonigle, man, burning speed, that triple, the numbers, the other numbers are blowing away Griffin in a head-to-head comp. Plenty of Twitter comparison graphics have told me this. So what are the chances of both these dudes impacting the big league roster to start the year? And what are you hearing in the Griffin extension camp?
No, I think it's realistic that we see both of these guys very early on in the season. And I'll start with McGonigle. He's blowing away people. He looks like he had such high expectations coming into camp, and Tigers people and other teams around the league were super eager to see exactly what he would do and how he would look in that setting. And he's looked incredible. He's exceeded every expectation. And it looks like the Tigers absolutely have a future star on their hands. And that seems like an absolute hit by them. And going to Connor Griffin here, he's the talk of baseball at this point. I don't know if I can say anything other than that. He's been incredible. Like, you talk to people with the Pirates, you talk to other players, you talk to scouts, you talk to anyone, and they rave about Connor Griffin. And they rightfully so. And if you look at the Pirates, their roster, you have Skeens headlining that rotation. You have Griffin as the headliner at 19 years old for that offense. I don't know if there's a better core of young talent in baseball than those two. And that's super high praise. And I don't know if that's a hot take or not. Maybe that is. I don't know. But they have such a tremendous building block here that we should absolutely be talking postseason for this team. And not only this year, but going forward as well. They have such an opportunity here. And I give Bob Nutting credit. He spent this offseason. And although I did see that Scott Boras is on the Pat McAfee show today, and he said he's never actually dealt with Bob Nutting. Maybe that changes in the future. I don't know. But Skeens nor Griffin are not represented by Boras, so that will not change here. But I like that the Pirates are spending. I love even more that they've drafted so well. And what was it, 7 teams that have passed on Connor Griffin in the draft? I feel like that's it's 7 or 8.
Yeah, I almost want to say it's 8. I know there were some Reds. I think the Red Sox picked 12th, and then a bunch of Red Sox people had Griffin projected to them before the draft, and then he went, I think, 9th ahead of their 12th pick. They go ahead and grab Braden Montgomery and use him to get Garrett Crochet. So also a good pick, but Connor Griffin's Connor Griffin. Yeah,
Connor Griffin, I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid. He's 19 years old. He's 11 years younger than me, which, I mean, when I say that makes me feel kind of old. But anyways, he's incredible, and I love everything about him, and I love what the Pirates are doing right now. So I think Ryan O'Hearn was absolutely right in praising this team and saying, yeah, there might be some 23 Orioles vibes to this team.
Yeah, it is. I did love the tweet that was like, had that quote and was like parentheses, guy who's only been on one playoff team in his life, and it was the 23 Orioles. Getting some 23 Orioles vibes from this situation. But hey, Ryan O'Hearn was on the Padres last year too. It is a slightly different situation. You got one team on the come up. And yeah, I'm getting those vibes as well. Maybe I'm manifesting because I'd like to see it. I'd rather see the Pirates be good this year than to see Bob Nutting and Scott Boras ever meet and shake hands. The only man maybe alive who doesn't want to see this is the guy who didn't get this level of investment, Derek Shelton of the Twins, who did say that. Basically like, would have been nice to get some of that during my tenure, but it is what it is. Before we sign off, want to make sure we address the lingering Littell and Giolito. Armand is amazing. What's more likely to happen? Giolito and Littell get signed, or a young player gets an extension during spring in the WBC? Anything on Zack Littell from flea market floppy disk? Why hasn't the team signed Giolito from MLB Deadline News? And the Dodgers had Gavin Stone go down today. He's not going to make the opening day roster, which makes you go, huh? So latest on those guys, for however long we have them on free agent watch, they still don't have teams.
Yeah, they're drawing interest from a few different teams, and I think things are moving a bit. So that's always good. We'll see exactly what that could entail and if a deal could end up coming soon or not. I don't know if it's imminent by any means, but I just know there's interest and teams are talking to them. So we'll see what that ends up happening. I still think, and this is just my antenna going up, but this feels like an opportunity where AJ Preller, where he's done it before in previous off seasons, he's done it this off season, where he's added players on a nice value contract. He's always looking for pitching. If he can get Lucas Giolito this deep into the off season, that'd be a hell of a move by Preller and that Padres team. So I think Giolito makes sense for the Padres. There's a bunch of other teams that he makes sense for. Littell, I still think he makes plenty of sense for the Angels. So we'll see. But we got to get a resolution here sooner rather than later, because they're two very talented pitchers who should not be unsigned. What is it? It's March 2nd, and we're talking about Lucas Giolito and Zack Littell being unsigned. That just does not sit right with me. But I think we'll get a resolution soon.
Yeah, in terms of quality dudes, like the Team USA had to replace Joe Ryan with Ryan Yarbrough. And I like Ryan Yarbrough, but I think I would rather have both Giolito and Littell on that Team USA squad, and neither is on a major league team right now. So to say we need to kick it into gear is understating things. We appreciate everybody joining us. Keep asking about Littell and Giolito till the cows come home. We'll have a bunch of information for you as we can. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, join us in the Discord at the All-Star tier. Get that private Q&A Thursday, 3 p.m. FanSided.com/newsletters to subscribe to the Baseball Insiders, and we will see you right back here Wednesday afternoon at 3:30 Eastern with Robert and myself, and the Prospect Show tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Take care. Till next time.
Thank you.